Hello everyone. Today we are going to do a very detailed review of the man behind the Soul Hall, the most terrifying villain in Battle Through the Heavens, the person who manipulated the entire continent for thousands of years and made countless experts tremble at the mention of his name, Hun Tiandi. He is not only the final boss of the story, but also the character who had the greatest impact on Xiao Yan's entire life. From the moment Xiao Yan was born until the day he became the Flame Emperor, almost every tragedy, every battle, and every step of his growth had the shadow of the Hun clan behind it. Hun Tiandi was the greatest mountain Xiao Yan had to overcome. And today, we are going to look back at the entire journey, ambition, power, and terrifying nature of this character. Hun Tiandi was the leader of the Hun clan, one of the strongest among the ancient 8 clans of the Doqi continent. In the ancient era, after Emperor Tuosh disappeared, no Dodi had appeared in the world ever again. Since then, countless powerful cultivators had been trapped at the peak of the Do Saint realm for thousands of years. Among all of them, Hun Tiandi possessed the greatest ambition. He refused to stop at the 9-star Do Saint realm. He wanted to break the limits of heaven and earth, become a Dodi, and stand above all living beings. But the truly frightening thing about him was that he was not someone who relied only on brute strength. Hun Tiandi was an extremely intelligent and patient character. He was capable of secretly planning for thousands of years for a single goal. While the other ancient clans slowly weakened and became arrogant, the Hun clan under Hun Tiandi quietly expanded its influence, planting spies and forces everywhere, eventually creating the terrifying organization known as the Soul Hall. The Soul Hall was an organization feared throughout Central Plains. On the surface, it looked like an evil force that hunted the souls of powerful cultivators, but in reality, it was merely a tool created by Hun Tiandi. Every captured soul served his ultimate plan of becoming a Dodi. From alchemy, ancient formations, and forbidden techniques, everything revolved around Hun Tiandi's final ambition. What made people fear the Soul Hall even more was the fact that it existed almost everywhere. Whether in the small Jia Ma Empire or the mighty Central Plains, traces of the Soul Hall could always be found. From the very beginning of the story, when Xiao Yan was still weak, the name Soul Hall already carried an enormous sense of pressure. Every time the Soul Hall appeared, people died, souls were captured, and entire factions were destroyed. It was like a dark hand covering the whole continent. If we look carefully, Hun Tiandi was the true reason behind Xiao Yan's tragic fate. In the past, the Xiao clan had once been an extremely powerful clan with Xiao Zhan as its ancestor, a peerless genius who had the potential to become a Dodi. However, Hun Tiandi understood very well that if Xiao Zhan succeeded, the Hun clan would never have the chance to dominate the continent. Because of that, he joined forces with others to ambush Xiao Zhan at the most critical moment. That battle caused Xiao Zhan to fail, and the Xiao clan suffered devastating losses before eventually declining. From a glorious ancient clan, they were reduced to a tiny branch living in Wutan City. Xiao Yan was born in such circumstances without even knowing that his family had once stood at the peak of the continent. It could be said that Hun Tiandi was the person who crushed the entire golden age of the Xiao clan. Not only that, but Yao Chen's tragedy was also directly connected to the Soul Hall. Yao Lao had once been the greatest alchemist on the continent with unmatched status and influence. However, after betrayal and persecution by the Soul Hall, he was reduced to a mere soul residing inside a ring carried by Xiao Yan. Without the Soul Hall, Yao Chen would probably never have ended up in such a miserable state. This also made Hun Tiandi the mortal enemy of both Xiao Yan and Yao Lao. On one side was the blood feud of the Xiao clan, and on the other side was years of hatred and pursuit. Because of this, the final battle between Xiao Yan and Hun Tiandi felt destined from the very beginning of the story. One reason why Hun Tiandi became such an incredible villain was because he never underestimated his enemies. Even when Xiao Yan was just a weak young man from the northwestern region, the Soul Hall repeatedly tried to kill him. The moment they realized Xiao Yan was growing too quickly, the Hun clan immediately moved to eliminate him. This showed just how cautious Hun Tiandi truly was. He would never allow even the smallest threat to remain alive. Unlike many villains who lose control because of anger, Hun Tiandi always remained calm. No matter how serious the situation became, he stayed cold and composed. And that calmness was the most terrifying thing about him, because people like him rarely make mistakes. Besides his terrifying intelligence, Hun Tiandi's power was almost unmatched before Xiao Yan became a Dodi. He had already reached the peak of the 9-star Do Saint realm long ago. He was only one step away from the legendary Dodi realm. But because the world lacked the necessary source energy, nobody could break through successfully. However, Hun Tiandi refused to give up. He obsessively researched the secrets of Emperor Tuosh, searched everywhere for the ancient jade pieces, and secretly prepared for thousands of years. To open Emperor Tuoshi's ancient cave, he even launched wars against the other ancient clans. At that point, the entire continent was drowning in blood and chaos. What made fans both hate and admire Hun Tiandi was his absolute cruelty. To him, human lives meant nothing. In order to refine the Emperor Tier medicinal pill and step into the Dodi realm, he was willing to sacrifice countless lives. The Hun clan slaughtered people everywhere, collecting blood essence and souls throughout the continent. Cities were wiped out, clans were exterminated, and all of it served the ambition of one single man. Yet the most terrifying part was that Hun Tiandi never believed he was wrong. In his eyes, the strong were naturally meant to stand above everyone else. To reach the peak, sacrifices were unavoidable. This was also the core belief of the Hun clan, an extremely cold and ruthless philosophy. It can be said that Hun Tiandi perfectly represented the ideal overpowered villain in fantasy cultivation stories. He had clear goals, intelligence, schemes, and enough determination to achieve his ambitions. He was not the type of brainless villain who only showed off power before being defeated easily by the protagonist. On the contrary, he pushed Xiao Yan into despair many times throughout the story. When Hun Tiandi finally succeeded in becoming a Dodi, the entire continent nearly lost all hope. At that moment, he had become an invincible existence. A single movement of his hand could shake heaven and earth. Even the leaders of the ancient clans working together were unable to stop him. That scene truly made readers feel the overwhelming pressure of the final boss. But at the same time, Xiao Yan completed his final transformation. From a boy once looked down upon in Wutan City, he became the first Flame Emperor in tens of thousands of years. The final battle between Xiao Yan and Hun Tiandi was not just the greatest battle in the story, but also a clash between two completely different paths. Hun Tiandi represented ambition and destruction. He believed that becoming stronger required trampling over everything else. Xiao Yan, on the other hand, represented emotion and protection. His strength came from his family, friends, and the people he wanted to protect. During the final battle, Hun Tiandi almost overwhelmed the entire world. But in the end, Xiao Yan successfully sealed him away using the power of heavenly flames and the true strength of a Dodi. After thousands of years of planning, Hun Tiandi ultimately failed just as he was about to fully grasp his dream of absolute domination. Even so, nobody can deny that Hun Tiandi is one of the most successful villains in Chinese fantasy novels. He possessed the aura of a true emperor. From the way he spoke to the way he acted, everything about him radiated overwhelming pressure. Many fans even believe that without protagonist plot armor, Hun Tiandi would have been the final victor. Moreover, Hun Tiandi was the type of villain who made the story far more exciting. He was powerful enough to create a genuine sense of danger. Every time the Soul Hall appeared, readers knew something terrible was about to happen. That constant pressure made Xiao Yan's journey much more thrilling. In many ways, the entire story of Battle Through the Heavens felt like a chess game that lasted thousands of years between the Xiao clan and the Hun clan. Xiao Yan was simply the successor of Xiao Zan's will, while Hun Tiandi was the mastermind behind every major scheme from beginning to end. To conclude, Hun Tiandi was not only the ruler of the Soul Hall, but also the symbol of limitless ambition in Battle Through the Heavens. He was powerful, intelligent, cold, and terrifying beyond imagination. Even though he was the villain, he possessed incredible charisma, to the point that many viewers remembered Hun Tiandi just as much as Xiao Yan himself. And even today, whenever people talk about legendary villains in fantasy cultivation stories, the name Hun Tiandi still stands as an unforgettable icon in the hearts of Battle Through the Heavens fans.